Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast, the podcast where the dogs are the stars of the show. Welcome to episode 48 of the Relaxed Dog Podcast, sponsored by therelaxeddog.com. Thank you very much for finding this show. I am your host, Robert Ober, and I hope that you and your dog are well. This week's guest is Gemma Forde, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy listening to what she has to say. But first, in some doggy news, we go to Phoenix, Arizona in the US, and in particular a horse farm in Scottsdale will soon have a new use. The owners are transforming part of their horse stud into a hotel for dogs, with a little bit of a difference being that their clientele will be the local homeless population. So they want to give somewhere where a homeless person can drop their dog off. The dog will be looked after until the person gets back on their feet, so to speak. And over in the UK, in Yorkshire, a golden doodle by the name of Dougie has started going to primary school. Now, a lot of people may be aware of the benefits of young children reading to a dog and the improvements that they make, but the school principal has taken things to the next level and is taking Dougie to school 3 or 4 days a week and called him the school dog. He's interested in seeing just how many other benefits there are from having a dog at school in the environment with young children and teaching them all sorts of other responsibilities. So that should be an interesting one to watch. And now to this week's interview. Welcome to the Relaxed Dog Podcast. I'm here with Gemma Forde, and we're going to talk about Jackpot. Welcome to the show, Gemma.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me on, Rob. And hi from the UK.
Yeah.
And hope you're all doing well over there.
Absolute pleasure. So, as per usual, I'm going to ask you to go back in time a little bit to just before you guys met up and lead us into the hows and whys that happened.
Okay, well, I was a dog breeder. And I had the pleasure, if you like, of actually putting Jackpot's mum and dad together, and he was born. So I've been there since day dot and before, which is really quite special. He's looking at me now panting, so if you can hear that panting in the background. Yeah, and when he was born, it wasn't quite plain sailing. Mum took about 48 hours in labour, and a lot of that was at the veterinary surgery. And Jackpot there was a pup just before Jackpot who was actually a breech, and it was dead. Jackpot came out very slowly after that puppy, and so he wasn't breathing. So it was quite a stressful birth, but we managed to bring him around, lots of rubbings on his chest to get that heart beating. And now here he is.
How many others were in the litter?
There were 7 live puppies in total. Mm-hmm. So they've all gone on to do different things, mostly into the gun dog world. But I kept Jackpot back. There was no real reason why I chose Jackpot. I think he chose me. And I used to let people choose, and then I'd say, I'll have that one there, which was fine. They were all brilliant in my eyes. So, yes. And he was quite energetic as a little pup. Even at 7 weeks, I think he started to stand out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Lots of crazy, excited behavior. And I thought, you are a little bit different to the others, just boundless energy.
I guess we should mention what breed is Jackpot.
He's an English Springer Spaniel. So one of the gun dog hunting breeds, which are energetic anyway, spirited. Mm-hmm. Spirited dog, yes.
And were his mum and dad working dogs, or?
They were gun dogs, both of them, and one of them was being trained up to trial. So that's quite a high standard in that world. The other, she just used to come with me just on regular shoots, just to do different things. I'm not really into shooting, but I love working the dogs and watching the dogs work and do what they were bred to do. It's quite fascinating, Oh,
absolutely.
And I think with the gun dogs as well, you look at the obedience and you look at how they perform on the field, the control that's in that, especially when we go into trials. It's quite spectacular, having the dog sit. As soon as the bird goes up in front of the dog has to sit without command usually. And then obviously the bird gets shot and then the dog goes and retrieves it, all under control of the handler. So I just think that's really interesting.
Oh, nice. Yes. So were they, mum and dad, were there any other dogs in the household at the time?
Just a few.
Just a few.
Someone reminded me that I had 22 adult dogs at one point. So there were a few there. However, I lived on a farm, so it was nice and easy. Open the door, away we go. Mm-hmm. No leads, nothing like that. It was just a fun and a bit of a wild life for them as well. Literally wild.
Okay, so Jackpot was born into a decent sized pack then.
Yeah, you could say that, couldn't you? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I never thought I'd end up with 22 dogs. I don't have that many now, but that was quite crazy. Mm-hmm. Fun, but crazy. And really interesting, I think, to watch, because when you just allow them to be dogs, you're seeing them go off hunting. And or if I take it back to when I opened the door, they're all winding themselves up. They're getting crazy. They're jumping over each other. And apparently the African wild dogs, they do things like that. And it's to get themselves wound up enough to go forward and run after the quarry that they're going to hunt. So, that's something else as well, because I hear people say, my dog's a crazy wild thing just as we're going out. Yeah, it's natural. It wants to do that. That's what they do.
That anticipation.
Absolutely, but it's by design, which I think's quite fascinating. But I'm a geek, so I love dog behavior, Yeah.
Oh,
but no, it was really interesting.
Absolutely. It's endless knowledge, and the more I know I don't know, and there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And, you read another book and you think you have it sussed, and then you'll listen to someone else and they bring a whole new perspective and you think, I really don't know a lot about this at all. But that's kind of great, isn't it? It's fun because you're like, okay, what can I go and learn next?
And having mentioned a few times on different episodes, just having that different interaction between two species and how special a human canine bond and understanding is, and also how limited sometimes the communication and interpretation is though.
I totally agree. This isn't related to Jackpot, but that thread that you were just mentioning, the bond between humans and dogs, I think, how did that actually happen? How did it all start? And one of my dogs, she came and she put all her puppies on my bed one night. And I thought, how does that new mother learn that I'm totally trustworthy with her puppies? Because if that was in the wild, there's no way that would have happened. Mm. And that stuff blows my mind to think that we have this amazing connection, that's developed over years. Yeah. Mind-blowing.
So when Jackpot, going back to when he was very young, do you form any special attachments with any of the other dogs that you had at your place? And
no, actually, Jackpot was very much me. Mum's here, don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also a fan of his ball. And you'll find that with the Springer Spaniels and a lot of the working types, collies, it's very much the dog is attached to the handler more so, I think, than other dogs around them, if they have a special bond with the handler, of course. So, yeah, he was just all about me. Where are you going today, Mum? Let's go. Mm. And, he used to jump in a bag that I had, a game bag. So it's quite a big bag. And I used to walk through town and Jackpot would be sat in the bag, even when he was sort of 6-7 weeks old. I was allowed to take him away for the day from Mum because he was my dog and I was returning him back to Mum. I wouldn't, by the way, recommend taking puppies away early from Mum unless you're in that sort of situation, breeder situation. So, yeah, he used to love just going to sleep in the bag and all sorts when we were out and about.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't.
Is there anything behind his name?
Jackpot. Yes, there is. No. Okay, so we had, do you know Lalandi trees? Those big, tall fir trees?
Yeah, I think so. Vaguely familiar.
Yeah. They grow to about 40 foot. And we had 40 of those chopped down. So it filled the front field. And I threw the ball and it went into that cluster of trees. And I think, he was 14 weeks old at that time. And he spent so long searching for a tennis ball. Bearing in mind, I wanted to train him as a gun dog at that point. Now, he spent, I forget, I think it was about 40 minutes searching for that tennis ball. This is just a little 14-week-old puppy. To have that tenacity, to be bashing through all the branches of the trees and jumping over things, I thought, wow, I said, I've really hit the jackpot with you. And it stuck. So, yeah, there is a reason for that name. Yeah, and it just stuck. And it's so different as well, isn't it? But, yeah, that's where that came from.
Nice, and nice to identify that persistence when he's so young.
Oh, yeah, that was special to me. I hadn't seen that before. But he does love his ball. I think he heard me say the word tennis ball. He's that smart. He's like, oh, where? Looking around. You actually started trembling now, haven't you? Go and lie down. Oh, bless him.
Relate to the tennis ball a bit. We've got a Doberman girl. She's almost 8 now, and we can walk off in a bit of the state forest that is not far from our place, and she'll duck off into the bush or the grass and come back with a ball in her mouth. And where do you find that? There's no one around here. People don't play tennis with a tennis ball in the bush, and it's like anyway.
But it happened. Oh no, it's brilliant. See, I think Jackpot has a bit of a sideline. He has discovered that around the tennis courts on one of our walks, obviously people lose their tennis balls. So, he's just up on the hedge bringing me back balls that I really don't need or want. I end up going home with about 6 in my pockets, and that's with the balls I've already got. So, yeah. But we actually donate those to one of the local charities.
No, yeah.
So he goes off and finds them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So going back again, what you were training or had the vision that he was going to be a gun dog.
Mm-hmm.
Did that sort of switch early on, or how far down the road did that go?
We probably went for a couple of years that way.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not into rushing training, so I'm very much like, let's just try and listen to what the dog's really saying. Mm-hmm. And I'll just do a little bit here and then think, is that working? And it was working. He was coming out with me, going on shoots, and it was a good dog for the gun dog world. But there was something niggling me in the back of my mind, and I thought, I think he's a little bit different. And I don't know that this dog might not make some kind of sniffer dog because of his love for this tennis ball. I mean, that was overriding everything else, you know. And I had friends who were in the industry, who were in the military, and some were ex-police too. And I was talking to them, and they said, give it a go. Mm-hmm. So it was something I'd always wanted to do, but never really knew how to do it. And I had this dog. So that was it. That was Jackpot's beginning into his journey as an explosive detection dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
So prior to that, they didn't really do any sort of nose work type activities, or?
No. Well, obviously the gun dog training, you are searching for something. It's just we're teaching them to search for something else. Mm-hmm. You know, two different things. But yeah, it's not entirely different, but it is totally different, mm-hmm. because the environments tend to be different, but there are similar veins. You know, they're searching either for birds and bunnies or bed bugs and bombs, you know. But yes, it was just, we just had to change, you know, what things meant, what the different training words meant for him. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
How do you go with that sort of transition?
He did really well. He's quite a confident dog, and he was able to just walk into buildings with me. In fact, he actually went off to be trained by somebody else to begin with, but they said he's not going to do it. And what it was, he didn't want to work for them. Mm-hmm. He's a mummy's boy. So, yeah. But no, they said they tried lots of different things, but he just wasn't comfortable with doing it. Mm-hmm. But he gets a lot of his confidence from me. So I was able to then take him into that environment, and he performed what he was supposed to do. So yeah, there was a little bit of a bumpy transition. But I'm glad he decided not to work for them, because now he's my boy, and yeah.
As an exclusive special working contract.
Yeah. Work for what he's a diva dog, isn't he? Yeah.
So at what age was he when he did that transition over?
He was 4 at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So only 4 years old, which is, for some, that's quite late to get into it. But, you know, it was all new for both of us. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. And can you tell us about the early sort of stages in training, or the few of the differences?
A few of the differences, what, between the gun dog and Yeah. Okay. For me, like as a gun dog trainer, I always use a tennis ball. And even when the dogs are out, say, trialing or something like that, in their heads, they are searching for a tennis ball. So in that respect, it's not much different. You know, we have exercises where we'll throw the ball into the ground. We might pick the dog up and turn them around just to confuse them a little bit, and then send them off to go and find it. And it's not much different when you go into the detection side. You are throwing the ball into the environment, just into a building or something. So in that sense, there isn't much difference. But there is one major difference, and that is we don't want the dog to go and retrieve when they're a detection dog. You know, no, we just want you to tell us it's there and then come back to us. Thank you very much. And obviously with the gun dogs, they're bringing back pheasants and partridge, bunnies, whatever. But no, this is completely different. So the training there does differ, because we teach them to indicate rather than bring it back.
Okay.
Thankfully.
So when he was still doing the gun dog stuff with you. Did he ever bring back something interesting that maybe he wasn't supposed to, or?
Oh, all the time, even when he wasn't doing the training. Yeah, I mean, they've all gone into. We lived on a farm, so they all used to go digging in the hedges, and they'd find, rabbit nests or something. The worst one for me with Jackpot was when he actually swallowed a frog and brought it back up the next day. that was not pleasant.
That's going to preempt. I'll ask it now. I don't know. I usually ask all my guests to complete the sentence, I can't believe my dog ate, and that could well be the answer, I think.
So are you? Yeah. Yep, there is that. I can't believe my dog ate a frog.
Well, at least there wasn't any sort of like too much negative consequence for him anyway.
No, just for me. Although he didn't want to go near it again. And he did see another frog out and about one day, and he sniffed it and then walked away. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, interesting things. No, definitely the frog was an interesting thing to bring back.
Okay, do you have the toxic frogs over there?
Not really. I believe that some toads can be a little bit poisonous. But no, we're quite lucky over here. Things are relatively safe.
Yeah, we've got
which is good.
A few things, and we've got the cane toads, which are really big sort of things. But somewhere in my head is like someone saying that their dog started to lick the cane toads, and it was doing something that the dogs enjoyed. I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay. How strange.
I don't know if they were, hallucinogenic or doing anything with it, but yeah.
Could well do. I mean, it's a toxin.
So, I can't quite think of the details to that, but anyway.
No. Dogs will be dogs.
So how was he with, have any other sort of like stock or wildlife on the farm and interactions with other species?
Yes, obviously we had cattle and sheep on the farm. He was fine until they came over to him, and then he stands his ground and he says, move away. He's back off, just back off and leave me alone. So Jackpot's fine as long as things ignore him. But yeah, when they come over and make a play, then he says, no, I don't like you. Just please leave me alone. Give me some space. You know, diva coming through. Yeah.
Is that with any
what you like.
With other dogs as well, or was that all right?
No, he's mostly all right. Sometimes he was attacked when he was younger, and I think it's left little marks on his brain. But yeah, sometimes with other male dogs, he can be a bit of a bruiser, to say the least. Especially, I have his brother as well, and his brother detects bed bugs, and they don't really get on very well. You know, okay. That's my mum. That's my mum. Back off. I've got this thing as well that they have these little arguments between them. You know, like when I hear them both growling, one saying, "Bill, I'm really hard because I go and detect explosives. Yeah. You just sit around in hotels all day." And now the other one's going, "Well, who's the stupid one? You know, you could get yourself killed, and I get steak dinners." You know?
Interesting.
So that's what goes through my head. So that's how I deal with their grumbles with each other. But yeah, it's quite funny.
I mean, having life on the farm would be pretty awesome for the dogs. But did you take Jackpot and travelling anywhere, or did you have any favourite spots outside of the farm?
Yeah, he's definitely a beach lover, just like his real dog mum as well. Anywhere that they can dig, you know, they absolutely love to dig, these guys. And you'll see them snuffling along. So I take them to the beach so that they can just really work their magic and, you know, dig holes down to Australia, as I say. So yeah, if I can stop them from digging in my garden, then the beach is the best option, and they love going for a swim. They love going and walking on the moorlands as well. We have lots of moors around here, so wild open spaces. We have nice rambles. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anywhere they can just be free.
Be free. I'm guessing beach, they come home a bit cleaner than they do rambling around in the marshlands.
Yeah, definitely. Like in the UK as well, if we have to spend 8 months caked in mud, and with a Springer Spaniel with all their shaggy coats, the beach is a far better option. Yeah.
How's he go at, do you have bath time?
Yeah, he actually loves a paddling pool. So I'm quite lucky because I just put the paddling pool out and he goes and baths off like that. Yeah, I mean, they don't like bath time, but they're like, okay, we'll have to deal with it. I think what they don't like is really like the smell of the shampoos and things, all the chemicals in those. They're a bit sensitive, you know. I don't know about you, but with my dogs, I've only got to say open the flea treatment and they're in the other room, hiding under the table. That's not going near us. No, we don't want that, you know. Yeah. Very, very clever noses there, haven't they? They don't like the shampoos and all the different things. I have this cherry blossom spray that I spray on them. They don't like that either.
No.
Oh, that's out again.
This kind of thing, if there was like a poo and mud flavoured, you know, or a scented shampoo, then they'd be all totally into it.
Hey, that's not a bad idea, but that wouldn't work for us.
No.
No, they'd be totally all over that.
Well,
what do you reckon? Poo shampoo?
Yeah, got rid of the bad stuff and it was just the odour. I don't know. No, I'm not down with that, I'm afraid. I'll leave that to someone else. But cherry blossom, that's fine. Yes. Yeah. Poo, no, that's not cool. So, Jackpot going into the phase where he's now training for bomb detection.
Yeah.
What was the sort of initial challenges, like searching rooms and instead of sort of wading and, say, in the wild, having an idea of seeing where a bird is to retrieve, not having a target to see and actually having multiple areas to search to find something? How did you go getting into that?
I mean, when we first start the dogs, we put them on the odour, so they learn to recognise the odour first. And they then understand that each time they smell that odour, they get their tennis ball or whatever reward that might be, whatever their favourite thing is, favourite food. And then we'll just hide that a little bit out of distance. And so that association, that smells there. And then tennis ball appears, you know? So we just build it up really gently. And yeah, then you get to see the incredible noses that they have. Because, like, as you say, you know, they're not looking for something. They're actually having to use their nose, which is, again, that's something else that blows my mind. I probably take it a bit for granted at times, you know, when you're just doing your job and then you think, no, actually there is something really incredible. We train them we put stickers in with the explosives, and that what happens there is the odor essentially impregnates the sticker, and then we'll hide the sticker and your dog can detect, you know, this trace odor on the sticker, which is, so we know they're not using their eyes for definite. Yes, because some of them do get switched on. If you keep using the same containers, they'll soon learn to look for the container.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why we test them out with stickers and all kinds of different things as well that they might not recognize by sight, but they know it by smell. Mm. Yeah. Yes, very clever. Yeah.
And so did that sort of like progress to like a formal sort of like, is it a military type training or a police type training?
I was trained. Yeah, I mean, I was trained by military. Some people are trained by ex-police dog handlers, but mine was quite military based, but for the civilian world, if you like. Mm-hmm. So it's ever so slightly different. The military dogs, they're often doing quite different things, but ours is very much urban environments. We go through that. It's only a 4-week course. Okay. And you go through that. So it's not very long at all. But that just gives you, it's essentially like a driving license. You've got your very basic knowledge, very basic experience, mm-hmm. and then you have to keep up that training. And again, living on the farm, that was really good because I was able to keep Jackpot's training up with all the buildings and things like that were there, which is really important for the dogs, isn't it? Because if you stop training at any point, and they'll soon forget what it is that they were trained for, But yeah, you get a formal qualification that allows you to go and find work over here.
Okay.
Yeah. And
is there many sort of dogs that get that qualification from a civilian point?
There are, like, there's a surprising number of dogs and the handlers out there in the civilian world. But I guess it's still a very niche thing, compared to the number of dogs that are owned in the country. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And certainly you wouldn't be putting every dog into that because they're just not cut out for, these dogs have to work quite long hours. So they need to have the drive or the determination to keep going in all kinds of weathers as well, and they need to want to be doing something.
Absolutely.
All the time. Yeah.
Are you able to say if he's had any important finds?
No, I can't say anything. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. No, but obviously we train them all the time, mm-hmm. In fact, to keep them motivated with the training, we put out fines every day when we're at work. Because it's something for them. They need to be rewarded. No one wants to go to work for nothing, do they?
No.
There's
Everyone
got to be
needs to get
something
paid.
in it for you.
Yeah.
Even if you look at voluntary work, that person is helping others, reinforcing. So dogs are no different. Okay. Yeah.
So about like traveling, are you called to travel any sort of like reasonably far distances, or just?
A lot of the work that we do is based, say, in London. There are other major cities, but predominantly London, and I'm based down in Devon these days, so that's only about 3.5 hours away. So okay. It's not too far. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not compared to the travelling distances in Oz, hey.
A little bit bigger here.
3.5 hours is like local.
Yeah.
Really local, So that to me is halfway up the country. But yeah.
So
tiny island.
When Jackpot travels, does he travel in a crate or is he in the car?
Yeah. Our working dogs, they have to be in special crates that say, for example, his is crash tested. You want to look after them, mm-hmm. So yeah, they have special crates, and actually these boys are quite good, although Jackpot will be there panting away like, come on, we're going. So yeah, but he's really quiet. I'm lucky in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he travels well then.
Yeah, he does. Not like some of them who will howl the whole way there. Oh, yeah.
So you mentioned
funny.
some days are long. Are you able to say one of the longest days that he's had to actually be sort of like on duty?
Yeah, that was when you have, in the private world, we're given 2 dogs usually, but some venues you can only take 1 dog. So that was a 10-hour shift with 1 dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
do you
it's quite some going.
Cycle him on and off during that time?
If you're working with another dog, but if you only have that 1 dog, you do give them breaks. You know, they can't, when they're actively searching, they can only use their noses for about 20 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. So let's suppose we've just said, like, off you go and seek on. Then we can only expect them to work for 20 minutes because what happens is all those membranes in the nose, they get quite dry and they need to rehydrate, you know, they need a break. So, yeah, on an active search, they'll only be expected to work 20 minutes at a time. But a lot of what we do is visual deterrence. So it's much like seeing a police officer walking down the street. They're not actually working. They're not running after anyone. They're there just to put people's minds at ease that, you know, we're here to keep you safe.
Absolutely.
And this stuff's going on. Yeah.
And I guess the more that people see that that dogs are out working in that environment, I guess it may stop some people from then wanting to do something because it's like, the dog will just find it anyway. There's no point. We'll do something else.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. We've seen, haven't we, how terrorists have changed their tactics, you know. So bomb dogs, if you like, for want of a better word, they do their job. You know, it stops those terrorists from using bombs so frequently.
Is that line of work for Jackpot keeping you very busy or just busy?
No, it does usually. Obviously, COVID, where people, because much of the work that we do is for corporate clients, mm-hmm. you know, so you might have international banks, that kind of thing, investment bankers. Obviously, with them now working from home, there isn't the call for that just now. When the events start kicking off again, then it will be a completely different story. And yes, you certainly can keep busy doing that. It's a full-time job. You know. Yeah. And it does depend on the nature of the contract you've got. Some will be 5 days a week. Other places need you for 6 or 7 days of the week. Okay. Obviously on a rotational basis. So not every handler is working 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it just varies on the needs of the client.
Okay. Mentioned quite a few times he obviously loves the tennis ball. What other games does he like to play?
What games do you like? It's digging. Digging is definitely his big thing. Yeah, if you can call that a game. Digging for mice or rats. That's his game. You did have a really embarrassing habit. Can we call humping legs a game?
Maybe a game for Jackpot.
Yeah, I think it is. But no, we do all sorts together. You know, Jackpot, like, he loves to learn. He loves to work. Mm-hmm. So I suppose, is it games? Not really. Most people would call it training, but it's training games. So we'll spend hours a day doing different things. You know, like nose touches to the hands or recall games, that kind of thing, because training never stops.
No, absolutely. And I know sometimes people have this mental barrier when you say train your dog to do tricks, and there's people like, well, why do I need to give my dog, you know, tricks, or what does that do? And I like to try and tell people it's not, you're labeling a word. It's if you think of enrichment or just fulfillment, it's like, okay, your kids go to school and they learn things. Dogs learn things, and they need to do things so that they're happy.
Absolutely.
So that they're not going to get sidetracked and get bored and do the things that you don't want them to do.
You're absolutely right. And, the other thing, we've all got these brains, haven't we? And
most of us.
Brains.
Mine's a bit dodgy, I tell you.
Yeah, I know that feeling. But, the more the brain learns, the more it wants to learn. And not only is it good on a sort of biological level, but it's also, it's creating bonds between you, isn't it? It's strengthening that relationship. And, to say, I don't want to do it, but you're missing out on this connection that you can have with them.
Absolutely.
So,
I love that you just said that, because the more that you do with your dog, the more they value the relationship. And again, the more they value, the more they want to please, the less that they want to displease.
Exactly that. The more good things they do, the less bad things they're going to do. And it's tools in your toolbox, isn't it? Oh, my dog's doing that, but I know how to stop him because I can do something else with him right now. Yeah. No, definitely. I'm a big fan of training, but so, for all sorts of reasons.
How old is Jackpot now?
Well, Jackpot is coming up to 7. So at the end of May, he's 7 years old. But I would say he still acts like a 3 or 4 year old. Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, people say, when do they settle down? No, he definitely hasn't. He still wants to be going and doing things. Yeah.
It's probably a bit too early, but is there a plan for his professional retirement from when he's going to be?
I think it's like anything, isn't it? You judge your dog. It's, for example, the worst part of dog ownership is putting them to sleep. We just know when it's time. When he tells me I'm not interested in this, or, let's suppose his body starts failing him, then that's when I'll retire him. If I think he's uncomfortable, then it's time to stop. But for now, he's going to continue, Yeah.
Does he sort of have any sort of weird habits? I mean, the digging and the other stuff, that's sort of their normal dogs things, but anything out of the ordinary you can think of?
Anything out of the ordinary? No, unless it's when he's sleeping on my bed, and every time he sleeps on my bed, he has to kiss my face at night, and I mean full on. There is no escaping that. But I think that's just his way of saying, I'm really happy to be here right now, and I'm really, loving it. So for some people that might be odd, but for me, like, you can kiss me, that's cool.
So has he always sort of slept on your bed?
Well, when I was on the farm and when we were working full-time somewhere, he was in kennels. I'm not a fan of kennels. I have my reasons for not liking them. And so when can you hear him?
Yeah, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like kennels either, I think.
He doesn't like them. No, he really doesn't. So yeah, since he's been living indoors with me, he sleeps on the bed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, for me, it's strengthened things. And he's a much more confident dog because of it. People, I think that dog has to stay in the crate downstairs, can't be. The dog doesn't want to be away from you. Even if you put the crate next to your bed, that's how they were designed they want to sleep with their pack, and that helps them feel good inside, it brings security and comfort. So I will always have dogs on my bed.
I think I just heard you say dogs, because I was going to ask, is he the only one?
Yeah, we've got his brother Rupert, and Yeah, the bed bug detection dog, which is great because I can safely say that my house is clear of bed bugs. And do you know what? Every night, without even asking, he's like, I'm just going to check the bed, Mum. Thanks. Thanks. So he goes around sniffing everywhere, Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. In an old house I used to live, I just moved in and I was sat down and he started climbing up onto the bench and doing his stuff. And I thought, what are you doing here? And then he said, there's something there. Yeah, so obviously that problem was treated, but it's quite handy.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Are bed bugs a problem in Australia?
Just trying to think. Maybe in some sort of like establishments, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it's often where there's foreign travel because obviously, lots of people bring them in unknowingly because they love warmer countries. But I think they're big in Europe, they're quite a big problem in Europe.
Off the top of my head, I don't know if we have bed bug detection dogs in something like Sydney. We may have, I'm not aware of it, but yeah, interesting.
It is interesting. There you go. There's a new job for you.
Another line of work.
Yeah, and they use them in care homes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And hospitals. It's another place. But yeah, anywhere where you get lots of people staying.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, and I suppose a lot of different aged care places. There'd be regular contracts to come through, and
yeah. And hotels. I mean, it's not a bad life. And the dogs get treated so well as well. They're searching these top hotels, some of them. They're like, oh, does the dog want this? Does the dog want that? And they're being served gourmet food, Forget the handler. Just let's worry about the dog. Yeah, that does make me laugh.
Has Jackpot and the other dogs' diets, have they changed much from being earlier on in life on the farm and where you are now?
Well, they don't get to eat as many rabbits as they used to eat on the farm, and that was their highlight. But I probably feed much more sort of. I incorporate lots more human safe foods. I've always been into that and not limiting dogs to bags of dog food because at the end of the day, they're scavengers. They came to live amongst humans to pick up the pieces that we didn't eat. So that's how I look at it. We don't have to be restrictive with them. But here, Jackpot now probably eats a lot more fruit than he ever used to eat. And I find that he loves to eat. If I'm eating, Jackpot's like, what have you got? Yeah. And again, I'm happy to share what I have with them. That doesn't bother me. So he's very much encouraged and inspired to eat the things I eat. He'll even eat plates of like roasted vegetables. That's one of his favorites. Mm-hmm. But bananas, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, he's loving it all.
Yeah.
So
blueberries are superfoods for us, and they're superfoods for dogs, but I don't know all that many people that feed blueberries to their dogs, but they should be.
Totally. And, find out what your dog wants to eat because they'll tell you,
mm-hmm.
Be guided by them. And, but there's so many different things out there that we can give them rather than, as I said, like the boxes of, or the bags of food. It's just like eating a box of cereal forever, isn't it? That must be so boring.
I'm not going to go down the road and discuss kibble because, I don't feed it. And
no, okay, interesting.
So, yeah, and look, and I understand there's reasons why people do.
Of course.
But from everything that I've learnt about it, it's a choice that I've made and we don't. So
No, I agree. I mean, feed what you want to feed, but feed other stuff too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's,
at least be diverse. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. For me, like my boys, they're not really keen on raw for whatever reason. Maybe they had a bad experience with it and made them sick. So they have some kibble, but they also have lots of other stuff, you know. Yeah. But no, he definitely loves his fruit and veg now. Yes.
Good. Supplemented with a whole lot of other different things. And you're right. Who wants to eat the same thing morning and night every day? They've got taste buds.
Do they? No. Yeah. I mean, oh man, you think about all the things they eat when you just allow them to be dogs and sit back and watch them. And, you know, Jackpot's mum, she ate a lovely rotting fish from the harbour. And, that was disgusting. You know, but they want to eat it. They want to eat rotting seagulls. That's another thing. Have you ever smelled a rotting seagull? Don't smell it. It stinks. But apparently the dogs don't think it stinks. They like it.
Have a nice roll in it as well, I bet.
Yeah, all of it. Oh. Yeah, when you've got 22 dogs and you live on a farm where there's all sorts of wildlife, you come back with some lovely smells.
So how many are you down to now? Is it?
I've only got two living with me.
Yep.
3 live on the farm. Work took me to another place. I had to, move away. And so the dogs, I found them all really lovely homes. And I wanted that for them as well. As I said, I wanted to get the dogs out of the kennels so that they could go and have cuddles and keep their tootsies warm by the fire in the winter. You know, for me, it's really important that they have that, and they have lots of individual love as well, you know.
How does Jackpot, Andy's brother, go with the seasonal changes there?
In terms of, you know, whether they like the hot weather and things?
Yeah, hot and cold weather. And also part B will be, do you think that the extremes of like summer and winter affect in different ways their jobs? Okay, so in terms of just their preference to the seasons, I think Jackpot he loves the spring. You know, that's when he feels most comfortable. But because he's a Springer Spaniel. Sorry.
Yeah, you got it in there. And he gets quite cold over winter. You know, he shivers a lot because he's got a really fine coat. But Rupert, on the other hand, he is a winter dog. You know, give him snow, give him all of that. But summer, I'm really struggling here. So Rupert, for example, you need to keep his coat nicely clipped because when they're working in buildings, he's going to get hot. Jackpot, he has such a fine coat that it doesn't matter. And, you know, we often provide them water to go and splash in when they get too hot, things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities. But yeah, some extremes are pretty hard to work in. When you're outside in the snow and the wind, that's not nice. But then you wrap them up in a coat, don't you? They like being wrapped up in coats. He does. I am very much not like into dressing dogs up and things, but when it comes to keeping them warm while they're working, I think it's really important. And yeah, in the summer, we had some really hot summers working, and that was tough going, you know. One place I worked on the yard, it was like 43 degrees. Now for the UK, that is extreme. You know, we don't do those temperatures. But in the centre of London, where you've got all the concrete, it does get really hot. So yeah, he spent most of the shift in the paddling pool. I think he was happy about that.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes. He said, I don't want to work now. I'll just go and lounge in the pool, you know? Yeah.
What's their favourite spot to relax in at home now?
On my bed or on the sofa, definitely. Or if we're out in the garden, they just love to. Anywhere that's near me, near my feet. You know, yeah, wherever mum is, we are. That's where they want to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing part of your Jackpot's life. So it's been a very interesting conversation. Is there, do you want to let people know any of your social contacts in case they want to follow what you do or see more about Jackpot?
More than welcome. I'm on LinkedIn under Gemma Forde, and I'm often sharing different things about Jackpot and his brother, or the work I do as a dog trainer as well. So, we're there. Or we're on Facebook under Zuri Dog K9. Again, we try and keep people interested and entertained with what we're up to. Obviously, we can't, with the nature of the work we do, we're not allowed to share pictures and videos of what they're up to. Mm-hmm. But certainly, you can see some of the dog things they do.
I was just going to ask if there are any sort of specific things or a specific niche that you're training dogs for.
Yeah, my thing is nose work. I'm a big fan of nose work in the pet dog world. That's it. Dogs. Did you know that like they can detect the equivalent of 1 teaspoon of sugar in an Olympic-sized swimming pool of water? So yes. Not many pet dog owners appreciate that. And you're like, guys, if they have that power, how much energy will it use to, get those little particles of scent into something that the brain recognizes? That's gonna help your dogs tire out, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that's what we do. The nose work. Again, that's back on our website and things. Zuri Dog K9.
Really enjoying that. That's sort of hasn't been around for all that long, but it's something that's really taking off in a lot of places, and dogs everywhere are better for it.
Oh, they are. You're giving them a job. I mean, another thing I think that people don't often appreciate is that the dog is a predator. It's a hunter. It needs to use that nose. And if you don't, you're going to get loads of problem behaviors. So, channel that energy. Use the nose.
Thank you again. It's been a truly enjoyable conversation. I look forward to catching up later on sometime.
Thanks very much, Rob. You take care now.
Thank you very much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you did, why not tell a friend? And if you really enjoyed the show, feel free to leave a review on whatever application you are listening to it on. Until next week, stay safe and remember, your dog is family.